Today I'm going to try to mash up two different patterns into one. So yeah, let's do this thing. But first, roll the intro. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL. And today we're going to start out with a bit of my graph paper that's already been sized to a bracelet that I know exists, and we're going to mash up these two patterns. It's 70595. That's going to be the middle one right there, and then the other pattern is 54560. And there's my graph paper. And obviously when I take the crop of like the design, the pattern that we're going to be using, it's really teeny tiny, and I have to rotate it so that way it's going in the same orientation as what I'm going to be working on. So that's my first step. If you've seen my videos like this before, you know that like I kind of have a process for this, and this is what it is. I don't need the other part of the pattern, like the finer details telling me which direction the strings are going in. That relatively works itself out as you're filling these things in. So yeah, I just need that to work off of. However, I do have it nearby. If it became for some odd reason it was necessary, it's over in the other tab. I can always go back and I can grab that stuff. So that's a thing. Whatever helps you best, you know, just go for it. Now, mind you, this graph paper that I've sized up, but it was based off of a bracelet I've already made. You might need to size yours a little bit differently and work accordingly. So that's just a heads up. I went to move it and saw the rotation tool. That doesn't work. Need the move tool and then the expanding tool one. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, these two patterns are completely so different. I mean, they really, I'm kind of going into this. I'm like, I'm not sure how this is going to match up, if this is going to work really good, how to do this. So, but I can tell you now, it turns out pretty amazing, and I'm really looking forward to working on it this Saturday during the live stream over here on YouTube. So yeah, if you're watching this and it's, you know, there's a live stream coming. So yeah. Okay, so coming down to the pattern itself, one of the big problems I have is I don't do black. That's what the outer square is on my graph paper. So I chose to use the blue in place of the black. So you'll see that. But then the rest of it, I decided I would just go ahead and use these pinks and purples. I'm not sure what actual colors I'm going to use for this in the actual bracelet that I make, but yeah, you can see I'm trying to sort it out. So yeah, the black is that kind of outer thing. Then we got this pink doing stuff. It's pretty neat. I like this. You can, yeah, here, this is a mistake. The blue doesn't go in there. I missed out on that other purpley thing. So yeah, little Control Z. But this pattern is one pattern I have never done before. So you can tell, like, I'm kind of at a state, like, as I'm doing this, I'm like, wait, what is going on? So yeah, might have been easier had I done it before, although I think if I was going to do this pattern, I would still use the graph paper, so that way I could put this whole area in the center like I'm doing. And you can see I'm working off, there's a line, a horizontal line that I'm not really doing much below it. And the reason for that is I'm going to copy and paste the whole top section and kind of flip it upside down to finish out the rest of the bracelet. So all I have to do is work out how to do half of this, and then the rest it just fills in automatically. So yeah, it's kind of it just kind of works out really well. One of the things that kind of bothers me about these patterns is the little half triangles on the sides. There's no the knots don't do that. So one of the things that kind of throws me off with these is that little half diamonds on the side. They just don't exist. Like, see where the white is? It's not. There's like a little black dot that doesn't really happen. So yeah. Oh, and I don't use white because white is the same as the background and makes it harder to see when changes and things are happening. So I used yellow instead of the white. Now, one of the things to do is to line up how the string moves in its various directions there, right? So you know that that blue had to be coming down this straight row. That's pretty easy. And yeah, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I do this stuff where I work out the most easiest ones first, and then that leaves very little left for the more difficult ones, and it makes it easier to make those decisions to see what you have to do with them. And yeah, like this yellow, right? You see it moves in and then back out. You know, this is obviously the clearest path for that to happen. Next, I would say, yeah, do the blues. They obviously are going a very specific way. And then you can see that that dark red, or that's not really a red, kind of a purplish color. You can see that where it comes out is got to be like a straight thing. Like it just makes sense after this. And hopefully you guys can see kind of the methods that I'm using, so that way you can do this yourself. Because honestly, I may be providing the patterns over on AKAAWOL.com, but the idea is I want you guys to be able to see how I do it, and that way you guys can do these yourself. And there, just about have all of the blues figured out already, right? Now, one of the things here is obviously that maroonish color had to go off on the right hand side there, it had to go off. But where it comes in, this is a mistake. It doesn't go towards that pink. And you'll probably see me figure it out here in a moment. Yep. And again, work out the easier things first, and then the rest will kind of make more sense. Yeah, the light pink is kind of obvious on where it goes. What it does at the bottom kind of mattered, but I can leave that. Obviously, I did leave that for later. But and now you can see I can work out how the darker color goes. Yeah, I wish I had a name for this color, this purplish color. I don't know what that is actually called, but it's cool. So yeah, follow those all the way out. And then obviously I can follow the pink, is going to be the next one. And you can see, like, now we're narrowing it down. Like, now there's just the one last string to come up and through. And this also then will give me all of the colors in that upper chevron, I'll have all those colors already worked out. So when I start on doing the second pattern, I can kind of choose from that what parts I want. Now, mind you, the area that I did of the 70595, right, the pinks and stuff, I could have ended it sooner, but I kind of like the way that the black and white kind of worked on the outer bit. So yeah, yeah. And now at this point, I kind of wanted that pink wasn't used very much, so I decided it was going to get used a lot more in the other pattern. So it's basically replacing what the dark blue is doing. So yeah, this is a way of conserving the strings. If I had made it with the blue, it would have used so much more of that one color in the whole bracelet. This way I can kind of use something that starts at the beginning and then just has a pop in the center. And the long pause there was me trying to figure out, wait, what is going on here? This is this other pattern really kind of threw me for a loop. Like, it really kind of took a minute for me to kind of figure out what was going on. I had also, when I first imagined doing these, I kind of imagined that this pattern was going to repeat itself a lot more than it does. It only has 3 of those diamonds, which, like I said, it really kind of surprised me. But I think it just ends up being perfect. It's like it's the right amount of the other pattern, and then you have something really bold in the center. So next is, and mind you, this is me working out the what other colors do I want to work out what is happening with this other pattern. So I decided to put in the underlying part of the darker pink color. Again, sometimes just working out what you already know is happening will make the how you're going to work out everything else kind of make more sense. All right. So here, bringing in the pinks into the center, and then I think on like the regular pattern, it might have been a little bit different, so I kind of had to do an adjustment with how it comes, that pink comes in all the way from the side, but I think it really turned out cool. You'll see what I talk about here in a second. Filling in all of the darker pinks. So yeah, so the lighter ones come in, and then they become like that light blue color of the pattern itself, right? So in one frame, they go into the center, and then the next area, you'll see it comes outside of the box, but not all the way to the edge. So it's like just 3 little knots, and then it goes to the other side, 3 knots. And this part of how it doesn't repeat itself so quickly, I think is what really kind of made this whole thing work. Like it's perfect. Like that center one in between of those 3 has something different going on. Again, here I wasn't sure like which direction the pink would actually go, where it's at where it skips a space. So I kind of left that out. It could go either way. It just really kind of depends on what was coming in with the next set of colors. So I'm just troubleshooting as I kind of go along based on, you know, what's kind of happening with it. So, excuse me. So then the next one is what color goes in it. So the black was sort of a thing. before, right? So I kind of thought, you know, that darker color could actually play the part here as well. So, and I again, executive decisions, just kind of playing with it, but where the color was just seemed like the perfect fit for it. So I was like, yeah, all right. And then obviously the way that kind of bounces is a thing. And then here it's going to come back out again, right? And it just seemed like, oh, it's perfect. It can it was supposed to go out and kind of around. I can make it go all the way up um, to the top, which kind of makes for an interesting start of the bracelet. Again, it's just an executive decision. I could have like made it like it was going to go one more time and whatever, but I like when the bracelets start out really nice and clean. So this was a way of doing that. And then so this was kind of cool. Another one of the colors that was seldom getting used, I decided that would be a perfect one to use to do this outer area. And um, it's going to make the center kind of more interesting because of the way it plays in the center, and the way that it came into the center from this outer area. So yeah. And since this is taking the place of the white, obviously then I knew that that's little diamond area was a thing. That sorts out what happens with the pink. So yeah, it all, once you get a little further in, you see the where you're concerned about making decisions. Sometimes they just sort themselves out if you just give it a moment, work through the knots, and make it happen. So yeah, there we have it. And filling in all the little squares because that's kind of useful. Obviously the pink could only go that direction, then the lighter pink can only go this direction. And this is going to tell me exactly how I set up my colors when I started off. When you first start your bracelet, you need to know what sequence to have them in, and this is all getting sorted out right here. And the fact that the yellow turned out to be the one that actually connects to the center area, like I know that we said that the yellow is representing the white. The fact that it actually landed up there, that was perfect. That was like, pretty awesome. And then all that was left was the other blue, which it just sort of needs to be put in. It's one of the last colors to be sorted. And again, it's if you go through this nice and slow like I am here, you can see that it's really easy to sort out where it goes. If it comes into a knot that already had two sides out, it can only go the other direction, right? So like this blue can only follow that path because that's all that's available. Everything else has already been sorted. And that's what makes doing the patterns like this work out really, really well. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I have a lot of fun making these patterns and making these kind of designs. And yeah. And I have the pattern is available over on AKAAWOL.com. You can go over there. You can try it yourself. Again, if you're using a different kind of floss, it might seem a little bit short. Um, oh, here I wanted to make sure I put the line right in the middle because I'm going to copy it and paste the whole top half. And there you go. That's one side done, and I just copy it, paste it, and then use the flip tool. There it goes. Shift that down and line it up. And you can use the arrow keys. You'll see when I get it really close. I use the arrow keys to line it up perfectly. There it is. And then use the layer and anchor layer. And now the two pieces are together. And there's your bracelet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I have had a good time, and I'll be back with more videos like this in the coming days or weeks. Alright, so as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.